everyone, and welcome back to Local Leaders, the podcast. And look, they have a major election coming up for the 21st Judicial Juvenile Court Judge. I have a candidate for that position sitting across from me, and I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Thanks, Jim. Yes, my name's Jenny Fore, and like you said, I'm running for Juvenile Court Judge in the 21st JDC, and that's going to cover the parishes of Livingston, Tangipahoa, and St. Helena.
Probably the most important election of the year that people don't think is that major of a deal. Most people, it just doesn't, it's not the president is what they're thinking in their mind. Probably the most important election, in my opinion, out there right now because it's juveniles.
Exactly. These are our children, and we need to make sure that our community's safe and that these children are getting the resources they need to succeed in life.
Speaking of life, we're going to talk about your life a little bit today.
Okay.
As I was researching this, all I saw was a worker, a hard worker, and someone who was a leader. And we're going to start off maybe during your college. Where did you go to college?
I went to Louisiana State University.
You were a cheerleader.
I was. I cheered for LSU for 3 years. I cheered my first 2 years, and I got hurt and actually didn't make it my third year, and overcame that, worked really hard, and went back and cheered again my fourth year.
People don't realize the work. Look, when you're in college and you do anything extra outside of like studying, it's impressive.
Yes. So, we practiced 5 days a week. We had workouts, all the stuff. So it's just like being on the football team, and we go year round. We cheer for football. We cheer for basketball, both women's and men's. I've cheered for swim meets. Like, who cheers for swim meets?
Right.
Soccer matches, all the stuff. Oh, gymnastics. We cheered at the gymnastics, volleyball, all the stuff.
And events.
Yes.
Appearances.
Yes, just appearances. Yes.
Yeah.
They have us as the face along with Mike the Tiger, and we have to make a lot of the events.
And what did you graduate in?
I graduated in accounting.
I found that interesting.
Yes. I was a political science major and a business minor, and my uncle, who is an attorney, said, Jenny, if you don't go to law school, what are you going to do with your political science degree? He said, you need to switch. Yeah. And I was doing great in my accounting classes, so I said, okay, I'm going to go and graduate in accounting. And I also did LSU's internal auditing program.
Oh,
so
very good.
But yeah,
so you like numbers, do you?
But that wasn't my calling. I loved going to law school. So yeah.
Well, and a good degree to have in your back pocket is accounting, especially with what you do.
I had enough hours to sit for the CPA exam and everything. So
yeah. So you go to law school. Did you fall in love with the law?
I did.
Yeah?
I did.
Where did you go to law school?
I went to Southern University Law Center, and I graduated magna cum laude from there.
Okay. Yeah. Well, look at you, Jenny Fore. As a matter of fact, near the top of your class, top four.
Four. Yep. I was number 4.
Very impressive. And what impressed me when I looked into that aspect of your life, the Chancellor's Award for Leadership.
Yep.
Just one of the many awards that you were honored with. Outstanding Leadership Award.
Yes, sir.
You served on the school's law review.
Yep.
And you were vice president of the Student Bar Association.
I was. Yep. So vice president.
Jenny Fore, I'd just be studying. I mean, look.
No, I was active. Even though I was in law school, I did what I could to be active.
And I would imagine your experience as a cheerleader kind of gave you a leg up on leadership in general and how to work with teams.
Yes. And talk to people and communicate with people and just be out there and help people. Because even with cheering, we gave back to the community. We were always out in the community doing something.
Right. So eventually you graduate from Southern University Law Center. It's off and into life. At some point you marry the love of your life.
I do. Who I met in law school.
Who you met in law school. Who is another lawyer.
Yes.
Mr. Colt Fore.
Yes.
And y'all have 2 children.
Yep, Cecile and Cassius.
Love the names.
Yep, CC 6 and Cassis 4.
That's awesome.
And they are just as active as I am.
Yeah, you are busy.
Yeah, we have a village keeping us together right now.
Wow, that's a beautiful thing. When you're a lawyer and you get out in the law world, you kind of choose what you want to specialize in, what you want to do. Some people go the personal injury route. Some people go the public defender route. What did you choose?
So in law school, I clerked for some pretty big firms, McGlinchey, Stafford, George Kerrigan, and Stiles. It just wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
So I was looking for a job, and I was blessed. I'm telling you, by the grace of God, I was put in Judge Edwards' court as her law clerk, and I clerked for her. I started clerking for her for a year and a half, and that's juvenile court.
Yeah.
And you don't learn juvenile law in law school. The only thing that you would is sometimes we do clinics.
Right.
And there's like a crim law clinic, a juvenile clinic, family law clinic. But I didn't do juvenile law clinic in law school. I had no idea what I was getting into until I stepped into her court and fell in love with helping the community and children.
You had a passion for it.
Yep.
I mean, it's clear throughout just looking over your resume, if you will. You can see that that is exactly where you need to be because that's where you are, I guess, most passionate.
Yep. So I waited for a job to open up at the public defender's office, and then I moved over and have been representing kids in Judge Edwards' court for the last 10 years.
So what is it about juveniles?
They're our future.
Yeah.
They need to succeed. We need to give them the resources to succeed. There's kids in our community and families in our community that need help. And if we aren't helping them, who is?
Yeah.
So, and we need to come together more as a community and help them. So,
what spurred this vacant seat to begin with?
So Judge Edwards ran for the First Circuit Court of Appeal and went in unopposed. So she qualified in July, and she would have been on the November ballot with the presidential election. But because she went in unopposed, the seat opened up. So it's vacant. We would be finishing out her term, and whoever wins would actually have to run again in 2026.
Isn't there, you have to 8 years or something like that?
So you have to be barred for 8 years.
Okay.
Yep.
So you used to remind her that.
Oh my gosh, yes. So I decided sometime when I was clerking for her that I was going to run for this spot, either when she retired or it came open. And so for years and years and years, I would say, Judge, you can't go to the First Circuit yet. You can't retire yet. I have 2 more years. I have 3 more years or whatever it was. And so finally I had enough years and she could go.
Well, yeah, now you can go on.
You can go.
I'm ready.
And I'm ready. And I mean, it takes a lot. She had to bring some of that home for years and years and years, and it takes a toll on a person being in this sport. So,
looking over everything, it looks like you just were preparing for this the whole time. You were very experienced in both truancy court and drug court.
Yep. So I am assigned to represent children in these courts. So when I was clerking for her, I was involved in drug court. And then when I started at the public defender's office, I am the public defender for kids in juvenile drug court.
Wow.
And the truancy cases, our truancy numbers are incredible. Like, it's crazy.
Yes.
We have kids that are missing over 40 and 50 days of school, and they're in 1st and 2nd grade. So what happens when that happens? Like, we are looking at these families, and we need to get in. We need to be proactive and see what's going on with these families and why they're missing school, because 1st graders just aren't missing school.
Right.
So, and then by the time they're in 4th grade, if they aren't reading, they're more likely to drop out of school.
I believe.
And if they drop out of school, what happens? They wind up in the system. So, and then another crazy number that I look at all the time is we're spending $10,000 a year to educate our children, but $100,000 a year to incarcerate our children. So what happens if we take some of that money and put it in services on the front end?
That's right.
Then we wouldn't be dealing with these kids on the back end.
Education really is the key. I think you nailed it.
You have to educate these kids. So
education creates hope.
Yep.
When you feel like you can, you can go out there and you can conquer the world because you have education behind you.
Yes.
That's a great feeling.
Yes, and you have to be able to read.
Must.
And we have parents, children. There's a lot of people involved in our juvenile court system that just can't read.
I believe you're the only candidate that is active in both truancy and drug court, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, they'll cover sometimes. The other candidates will cover sometimes for us, but none of them are active on a weekly basis in drug court or truancy court.
Yeah, that's a huge deal. And what is drug court?
So it is an intervention program. I meet with the kids that are in phase 1 once a week. Okay. But our drug court team could be meeting with these kids upwards of 3 times a week, and they're going to get randomly drug screened. If they're in our drug court program, the school system has to allow them back into school And it can be an alternative school, Pine Ridge. Pine Ridge is a great alternative school in Livingston Parish. I have lots of kids that succeed there because it's so structured. And our kids, that's something they're missing, is structure, a family unit, parenting, all of that. So when they have that little bit of structure, they succeed.
Right.
So we get them back in school. We're making sure they're off of drugs. We actually had our juvenile drug court graduation last week on Tuesday. I had 3 kids graduate from drug court. One of them hadn't been in school for years. So part of it is you have to have an education. If you're in drug court, you're getting an education. Yeah. So this little boy he was 17, I think. He got his high set in a week. That's how smart he was.
Yeah.
So now he is in North Shore Tech, has able to get his driver's license, has a vehicle, and setting him up for success. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We had a little girl that she would always have her hair in front of her face, and she just didn't have any self-worth. And she didn't want to go to school. I don't think her mom and them, they thought her anxiety was too bad and she couldn't go to school. So she is now in school, and she loves school. She's thriving in school. And then Rebirth is our program through the Office of Juvenile Justice. It's our schooling program. It's an online program.
Sure.
One of the last graduate, she's one of the first graduates of the Rebirth OJJ program. She's going to be starting at a community college soon, too.
It really is a huge thing. So I hope the listeners today get out of this the importance of this election and to get out there and vote. To me, what's most important is experience.
Yes.
It matters.
It does, especially in this kind of seat.
Yes. Blair Edwards had over 2,000 cases.
Yep, last year. And we have the most cases in the state.
Wow.
The most cases.
Yeah, and the biggest growing parish in the state of Louisiana.
And with Tangipahoa, too, because this is tri-parish, and Tangipahoa is also one of the fastest growing communities in the state.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up. Yep. St. Helena, Livingston, and Tangi voting for this particular judgeship. You represented 270 juveniles yourself, personally.
So it's cases.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Some of the cases could have been the same juvenile.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Yes. So 270. And that's been about my caseload for the last couple of years.
Wow.
So, and it has been growing. And the crimes have been getting worse over the 10 years I have been representing these children.
You don't sleep much, Jenny Fore.
No.
But
between helping these kids and my own kids, I'm busy. So.
You are busy. And let's talk about crimes involving guns with juveniles, certainly on the rise.
So I'm not sure where these kids are getting all these guns. I know sometimes they're breaking into cars that are unlocked. I'm all for Second Amendment. We just got to be super
be responsible
smart,
about
responsible
it.
About
Bring
it.
your gun in or lock it
your
up.
Car. Please lock your car.
Lock your
car. That's easy. So, I mean, they're getting these guns. They're making them automatic guns. And then a juvenile that has a possession of a handgun, that's just a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
So,
really?
Yeah. 6 months suspended.
Wow.
So, and first offense, how the law states we're supposed to do the least restrictive means. So that's just usually a probation offense.
Yeah.
So, but I will say, if you are on probation and a juvenile and found with a gun and convicted, you are being revoked. You're going straight to a facility, either a group home, whatever OJJ has the recommendation for. If it's a group home or Florida parishes long-term or their OJJ secure facilities, you are going.
Yeah.
So,
does any particular individual stick out or individual cases where it was a kid that people just pretty much gave up on and you came across them and it was, someone that now looking back on it, it was like, wow, I really changed that situation.
We have a lot of those cases.
Yeah.
Even their families, extended family, they do just give up on them. And it's almost like the family doesn't know how to deal with them. They don't know how to deal with their trauma or even parenting because maybe the parents weren't parented and the parents have underlying trauma that they're trying to deal with. So they just push it off on the kids. Wow. So, and that's not fair to those kids.
When you see these juveniles go through the system, how long do they typically stay in the system? Do they become adults and it just continues?
If you don't get the services for them, yes. And usually if they wind up in an OJJ facility, they're going to be more likely to commit crimes So we need to get them out in community-based services. Wow. And that's what just the numbers show. So if we get them out and start working with them on the front end, they're going to be more likely not have to go to a long-term program. But have you heard about our Florida Parish's long-term program?
Tell me about it.
So it's a great program. I have a great working relationship with Joey Dominic in Florida Parish's Juvenile Detention Center. And I have kids that are going in there. And they are setting them up for success 100%. So they are going in there, and usually Judge Edwards won't parole them out until they have their high school diploma. So when they're finished. So we'll have their high school diploma. They will be OSHA certified. They come out with PPEs. Joey has North Shore Technical School in there. He even has a driver's ed program in there. But one of the things I will say, sometimes these kids are getting out at 17 or even 16 years old, and we're putting them back in their same environment. It's hard to get a job until you're 18, especially in the plants or offshore.
Sure.
So we need to get a mentoring program together for somebody more than OJJ to oversee these kids and help them and make sure they get the job when they turn 18 and make sure they stay out of trouble until they're 18.
Yeah.
So they can make money and be productive. It's
hope. It's hey, I've got a skill.
Yep.
I can apply a skill. I've stood on
welding.
Yeah.
Do you know how much welders? I know. It's crazy.
For all those gamers out there, if you realized how much drone operators get paid now.
The Mixon Clayton Foundation in Hammond is doing scholarships for kids to learn how to fly drones. It's insane. And it's only going to get more and more in demand. And those trades, I've been on a soapbox half my life screaming about trades. Trades lead to business ownership. And that's where we're at right now. Maybe you don't need a college education. Maybe you need to go into a trade. And maybe that's better for you, a skill set. My brother, he was dyslexic, was in special ed his whole life. He is a diesel mechanic. Yes. Making a whole lot of money doing that. And one of the only diesel mechanics in the New Orleans area. Yeah. So he's doing great. I got a friend that cuts grass that makes over $1 million a year. That's insane. Cutting grass. Yeah. That's it. That's what he loves to do. That. It's what he loves to do. He loves to be outside, get a tan. Yep. And he can make a ton of money doing it. Judge Blair Edwards, another thing that stood out to me. You worked very close. Look, she is legendary. Yeah. Legendary. She has made the juvenile court system what it is. I am the only candidate that worked under her as her law clerk. That's huge. So I did that for 1.5 years. So I got to see the inside of being somebody working under her, how she thinks as a judge, where she's leaning towards. So, and even being in her court, I've seen all of that, but just working under her for that 1.5 years was Would you call that experience invaluable? Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. And I would agree. I look up to her as a mentor, a role model, all the stuff. She's done great things. Yeah, and she's moved on up to the Court of Appeal, where she's at now. But we do miss her a lot. Should you get elected, it's really just transferring her philosophy in a lot of ways and then adding what you can to that. The world is ever evolving. Our court will have to, too. So when there needs to be changes, I plan to make changes, and what works, we'll keep. I got some quotes that I dug up on you. You said, as your juvenile judge, I will bring knowledge and passion to the courtroom. I will continue to use my experience and understanding of juveniles in the 21st Judicial to work to lower crime while upholding the law. Exactly. Passion stood out to me in that statement. If I didn't think I was the right candidate for this job or the right person for this job or the most experienced for this job, I would not have ran for it. How important would you say it is to be passionate about that? You have to. Yeah. You have to. These are families that need our help on all levels, not just the delinquency help. We have foster families that need our help. We have bio mom and dads that need to work their case plans to try to keep the family unit together. And then for the ones that won't work their case plans, we need to find stability for these children so that they can be successful too. I agree 100%. And it's exactly what I look for in a judge. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say this is so important, I keep hammering this down, but this election is very important because you don't
want somebody in there that's going to become complacent,
Right.
that's going to start hammering that gavel 6 months in, juvenile detention center and on to the next.
And
on
there
to the
are
next.
going to be kids that need to be
Sure,
put in the juvenile
absolutely.
detention center. We have heinous crimes. They're enumerated. Some of these kids will be charged as adults. The DA has the charging power. If judges find probable cause for some of these crimes, they're going straight up.
Yeah.
But then there's others that need second chances.
I
and
agree.
need rehabilitation.
Yeah,
So,
because they're getting out at some point.
yes.
That's why the rehabilitation is so important.
Yes,
whether
especially
you
with-
like it or
yeah.
not, most are going to get out,
Yes.
and you don't want them getting out and having no options.
Yep. I mean, juvenile life is 21. So
Yeah.
at some point they're getting out.
They're getting out.
And we need to
Educate.
They need to be successful.
Yes.
Educate, rehabilitate, get them jobs, get them trades, all the stuff.
Then you also said, quote, our youth deserve a system that holds them accountable, but also helps them find a path forward. Similar to what we just
talked
said.
about.
And I think we've already covered this, but making education and treatment a priority.
Yes. Trauma treatment, too.
Yeah.
Trauma
Yeah.
is a big thing. So some of these kids, when stuff happens to them, they go into flight or fight mode.
Right.
Do you know what happens when that?
Yeah.
Cortisol.
Yeah.
It just soaks your brain.
Right.
And it can change your whole brain chemistry.
Sure.
How you think about everything. So these kids have to deal with the underlying issue of their traumas in order to move forward.
Let's talk about some of your endorsements.
Okay.
Real quick. You've got quite a bit.
Yeah.
The most, I guess the ones that stand out the most to me, you were endorsed by the Livingston Parish Young Republicans.
Yes, and I am a young Republican. So.
And you are a young Republican.
Lifelong Republican.
There you go. Also, the Livingston RPAC
Yes, that was a big one.
endorsed you. Big one.
Yep.
And look, y'all, I was at I guess you could say a lunch awards ceremony a couple of weeks ago, and we got a Future 5.
Yes, that was
winner
very exciting.
for the
I was not
Livingston Parish
expecting
Chamber.
that, but that was a great achievement.
I can tell you it was probably made for you
Yeah.
because you have accomplished so much.
And I want to accomplish
already.
so much more.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You got the future looks
Yeah,
bright.
yeah.
The future looks bright. Now, I want to address something
Okay.
real quick. And look, everybody who listens to this show knows how I feel about mudslinging.
Mm-hmm.
And if you notice, me and Jenny Fore have sat here this whole podcast, almost a half hour already, and we haven't once talked about any other candidates.
Nope.
It was all about Jenny because I don't want to spend my time talking about other candidates with her here.
Right.
And she doesn't want to sling mud on anybody.
don't.
She wants to run her race.
Yeah, it's about my qualifications and my platform and what I stand on, and I hope people are looking at my qualifications.
That's right. Spending her time talking herself up
Yep.
instead of talking down others. That tells me a lot about who I want to vote for a lot of times. When I see that stuff, that's the person I don't want to deal with.
Exactly.
I'm just going to be honest about that. But there's been a lot of ugliness, I guess you could say, that I've come across recently online.
Yep.
And it relates to some family that
just
has
carry
a
my last
relation.
name.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they just have my last name. I don't have any dealings with them. There was some things that was said about Colt's mother, who is not Colt's mother.
Yeah, not even his mom.
No, and Colt's mom is an amazing woman, and she raised an amazing son. So I just hate that there was a lot of lies that were put out.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it's coming from, but it's not true. Actually, it's been being run by Pakistan, so
Yeah.
some bots.
Ugh.
So, I mean, whoever made this page, they spent a lot of time, I guess, blasting me
Yeah.
for stuff I have no control over.
No control over,
So,
and it's
I
not
don't have anything to do with it.
nothing to do
Nor
with
my
it.
family, my
Right.
immediate family, nor my children who were put on there.
Yeah.
So,
It's really disgusting.
Yeah.
And this is someone on the outside looking in. Let me tell you something about Jenny Fore, and we share a lot of mutual friends.
we do.
And you can always tell who someone is by who they are friends with a lot of times. And the people that, share Jenny's space are good people. And for those of you that are running races where you feel like you've got to tear somebody down because you can't run on your own accord, I feel sorry for you. That's what I have to say.
And that's what I would ask voters, just to look at my qualifications and make their own judgment of me. And if you have questions, please reach out to me.
Yeah.
My phone line is always open, and I will answer your questions. So
I love it. And that's all we're going to say about it. But I'll say you're a great person.
Well, I appreciate it.
I support you 100%.
Thank you.
I think you're going to do great things in this judgeship, and I believe in speaking things into reality. So I'm going to start calling you when I see you, Judge Jenny Fore.
Well, hopefully my plan's God's plan.
Yeah.
And if not, he has a plan for me.
Amen.
So.
He sure does.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, there is nobody on God's green earth that's going to outwork you. I can tell you that.
I work hard, and I will continue to work hard for our community.
Any final thoughts?
No, I've just asked the voters to please go out and vote March 29th.
Yes, we need to. I'm glad you said that. We didn't even tell people when to vote.
We're expecting a very low voter turnout, which is unfortunate because this is so important.
It is.
So
if you show up for any election, this needs to be the one. Yep. Go out. So, vote. It takes 5 minutes. As a matter of fact, if it's a low voter turnout, you ain't even going to have to wait in line. You probably walk right on up.
For them to vote for me and support me, and early voting's the 15th through the 22nd.
Yep. So early voting 15th through 22nd, election day March 29th.
Yep.
Or do you have? I saw you had I don't know if I'd call it an appearance or something a few weeks ago. Do you have anything coming up?
Yes, I have one. Is it March 13th or 14th? It's in the French settlement area.
Okay.
So I think it's on Facebook, and I'll share it on my page too.
Very good. And I'll link her Facebook in the description of this video so that you can give her a like, follow her. Whoever runs your page doing a great job on that. And
I have so much on my calendar that I can't even tell you what date it is. I live by my calendar. My sitter that helps us, Colt, we all have access to this calendar. I don't know. We're just we're just figuring it out right now. So
totally get it. Well, thank you for coming on. It's been an honor.
Thank you for having me
to kind of go through your life. Amazing so far. Well, and you still got many years to go. Still a young lady.
I do.
But you are so experienced in this, and I would love to see the community get out and support you, whether you're in St. Helena, Livingston Parish, or Tangipahoa.
Yep.
You're up.
Yep.
Go vote.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
And until next time, I'm your host, Jim Chapman, with Local Leaders, a podcast reminding you love your community, support local business and local judges, and keep leading. Thank you very much.